Welcome into another edition of The Rundown, your home for spring sports here in the CSAA. Brandon Worth, Jack Heckman here with you, back with another baseball and softball episode. Don't worry, we're going to get into the other spring sports starting next week. Some very great interviews lined up that we're very excited about. But Jack, now we're starting to get games under our belt. The sun is shining, and right now some teams are showing out that maybe we weren't expecting early in the year.
Yeah, most definitely. There's some teams starting to shine light and, starting to see some games get in. And this last week was important for a couple teams to get going. And this next coming week is going to be important for teams to start to gain momentum and really turn their seasons around.
Absolutely. And we have a great interview as well with Caleb Sommers, who announced his college destination on the baseball diamond. We'll get to talk to him, the Coyotes standout, here as well on the show, so stay tuned for that. Before we get started with our scores and recap, big thanks to Eagle Village. If you want a job that impacts the lives of youth and the next generation, eaglevillage.org/careers, Eagle Village, where potential soars. Also, big thanks to Denny's Muffler and Brakes in Big Rapids. You can head there down State Street if you need any basic auto repair, oil changes, and more. Call them at 796-6335 for more information. Big shout out to Denny's Muffler and Brakes, a proud sponsor of the show. All right, let's get into baseball scores. We'll go from April 15th through 21st. Now, not all the dates have games. We'll go in order of the calendar. We'll start on April 16th. Reed City and Everett made up their games that were initially pushed back, and it ended up in a split. Everett gets a 5-2 win. Reed City comes back with a 10-2 win in the second half of the doubleheader. Big wins there for both teams. Then we move ahead to the 17th. Chippewa Hills just absolutely thumps Lakeview. 27 combined runs for 2 wins there for the Warriors and Coach Wright. Also, Big Rapids and Shepherd. This was really kind of a weird game with some weather delays, but the Blue Jays get on top of the Cardinals. 7-5 and 4-2, the final scores reported there. On the 17th, Belding and Grant battled in a battle of black and orange, I guess you could say. The Tigers get the best of the Black Knights. They win at 4-2 and 8-6, a pair of really close 2-run games. Central Montcalm and Newaygo, this was certainly a one-sided, and this might be a game that we were not expecting. A pair of games, even if that 12-2 and 5-0. The Lions take down the Hornets there on April 17th. Now we jump to April 20th. It is Montebello and Lakeview squaring off. First game, Montebello runs away 13-6, and then the second game was absolutely electric. 19 combined hits, a 15-11 win there for Montebello over the Wildcats there on April 20th. Looking ahead to April 21st, the Cardinals get wins over the Lions of Newaygo, 15-1 and 16-5. I mean, the Cardinals with 11 hits in each of those games absolutely bombs away. The slugging percentage certainly boosted from those games. Reed City and Chippewa Hills competed. Chippewa Hills gets the win in the first game, 8-3. A lot of errors for Reed City, some timely errors, but then the script flips. Chippewa Hills, a lot of errors in that second game, and Reed City pounded the bats early, winning 15-4. Grant and Tri-County squared off. The Tigers really showed out their offensive capabilities, winning 10-2 and 14-7 there against Tri-County at their place. That's big wins there for Coach Cheesebro. We did just on the show. You can watch that in the feed below wherever you get this show. Kent City and Molly Stanwood, 17-4. The Eagles win it, and 12-2. The Eagles win it over the Mohawks in critical CSAA white action early on, so big improvement there for the Eagles. And finally, on April 21st, White Cloud and Central Montcalm competed in a nail-biter in Game 1. 6-5 victors were the Hornets, and then it was 7-0. Montcalm completes the sweep over the Indians. Jack, early thoughts on this whole slate? I think the big one is Newaygo. How about it? Taking down Central Montcalm there.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of games, you went over all of them, that were really interesting. The Big Rapids Shepherd series obviously is going to draw a lot of eyes just because the kind of expectations they had for this Cardinal squad this year, and it goes back to Grant as well in their series with Belding. 2 very close games, but their pitching staff is what kept them in those games. And then really it comes down to, again, Central Montcalm and White Cloud. White Cloud, 5 runs in that last inning, made it a really close game, but the Hornets hung on. And that's the type of games, we talked about it last week. This Central Montcalm team has to find some sort of pitching outside of Emmett. And also they have to get their offense rally to go, because this is a team that has a lot of talent and should be winning by a larger margin than I think they are right now.
Absolutely. I think there was a lot of expectation on this Hornet team, and there's still a lot of time, but the Indians certainly showing some improvement in those games. And a lot of overall, the pitching has been a big part of it, because you're seeing a lot of these teams that are really playing competitive games, these 2-run games. And a lot of the times you're not seeing a lot of hits in these games as well. I mean, you even look at some of the other games where you have Grant Belding, I mean, there was only 6 combined hits in that game, really a pitcher's duel for both sides. Then you have some other games, finishing 5-0 was one of the scores for Newaygo Central Malcolm. And so we're seeing really a battle of what teams are able to play in these tight games with the pitching and especially, the accuracy, throwing a lot of strikes. And it really is a battle of matchups because we've seen a lot of splits so far. Reed City Ever, and then even Reed City and Chippewa Hills getting some splits. And you've seen some other teams as well getting some splits. So we're going to have to see how that pans out with a lot of these pitching staffs as we get later on into the year.
Yeah, most definitely. These defenses have to help their pitching staff because there's just looking at some of these box scores, there are so many errors, and there's errors that just don't need to happen at all. And that's what these teams really need to clean up because in high school baseball, a great defense behind a solid pitcher goes a long way. It can really take a team long into games and save their pitching staff for games coming ahead.
Absolutely. Let's take a look now at the softball scores from this past week. We will go in the same period of time. Grant and Belding squared off. It's a split. Belding wins game 1-2-0, and Grant comes back to win over Belding 5-4, despite only have 3 recorded hits in that game and Belding having 9. Newaygo gets a sweep over Central Montcalm 17-6 and 11-5. The final scores there for the Lions and Coach Shemin, as well as North Muskegon and Kent City battled, and that one ends in a split. The Eagles get game 2 8-3, but fall in game 1 5-2 to the Norsemen. Chippewa Hills and Lakeview squared off. This was a really interesting game. Lakeview just absolutely jumped in game 1, 12 runs on 10 hits. Then flip the script. Chippewa Hills wins 13-6 in game number 2. Everett just overpowers Reed City 15-0, 14-3. They are state ranked and have been state ranked for a reason. Rockford gets a sweep over Central Montcalm. Very tight game 1, 9-8. We were hoping the Hornets could pull that one out. Game 2, the Rams just roll over the Hornets 13-2. Lakeview and Montebello, it is a sweep for the Wildcats, and boy, the blood pressure was certainly concerning in this one. 19-18 in game number 2. Montebello committed 9 defensive errors in game 2, while Lakeview and Montebello played in game 1 to a 4-3 decision. So only 2 runs differential, but you still had over 40 runs combined score in those 2 games. Newaygo sweeps Big Rapids 17-2, and then 14-4. Final scores reported there. The bats of Newaygo certainly are for real. Central Montcalm sweeps White Cloud 13-2 and 13-3. The final scores there. A lot of walks in that game pitching wise. Same for Reed City when they played Chippewa Hills. 23-14 in game 1, and then 13-3 in game 2, which was suspended early due to lack of daylight. Morley Stanwood Kent City battle. Morley Stanwood, despite committing 9 errors, they complete the sweep in game 2 after a 12-3 win in game 1. They win 11-6 in game number 2, and then Grant just overpowers Tri-County 15-1 and 21-7 to get a sweep there in CSAA red play for softball.
I think it was great to see this Grant Tigers team really start to get going because this was a very questionable start for this Tigers team. Not the most ideal start. Now they're back to 4-5, 1 game under 500, and their bats came out to play. Putting up 36 combined runs, no matter who you play against, is a very impressive feat in 2 games. And that's why this Tigers team was so good last year, because they had such a great offense, and really starting to see this team come together now. This is what they should be for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And looking at some other teams as well, Big Rapids, you can just tell is such a young, inexperienced team compared to what they've been a few years ago. You see a lot of defensive errors, and those are things that are going to be improved on as long as things, go according to a plan for the coaching staff and the team. I mean, 13 errors and a doubleheader is not going to win you many games, but there's still a lot of time to turn that around. You look at teams that have found a way, Reed City on the base pads winning really against Chippewa Hills there. And I think especially, Lakeview certainly showed that they can have the explosiveness too. It'll just be the consistency for them to compete in the CSA White.
Yeah, most definitely. And taking that split with Chip Hills, that was really big for them last Friday. A 12-0 game and then a 6-13 game. You shut out a team like Chip Hills, and Chip Hills was an offense that was very streaky at times and has been in the early seasons this year, but that's big for that Wildcat squad.
Absolutely. Those are the scores to report. Now we have an interview to go to with Caleb Sommers of Reed City Baseball and the future college star. Now joined here on the Rundown, an exclusive interview, we have a collegiate-bound athlete from Reed City High School, Caleb Sommers, joining us. Caleb, thanks for hopping on the program, my man.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And obviously, you've made the decision now, mid-Michigan, heading for some college baseball. First of all, how does it feel just to have that decision-making stress just lifted off your shoulders now that you've decided?
It feels great. I'm not playing to get looked at now. I'm playing to get better and playing for become a better player every day.
What was the thing about Mid-Michigan that really stood out to you and why you ultimately committed?
I like where the program's going. It's getting better and better every year. I love the coach. Coach has great goals set in mind. The players, I know a guy, Tyler Gear, Lucas Johnson, a few buddies of mine. I'm excited to go play with them.
Absolutely. And these are all guys that you've played with in the summer, playing for the Ducks and some other teams. Just talk about how much of an impact that summer ball has really made upon you, as well as the high school season and the progress that's still going.
It impacts greatly. The players are very good. I get so much experience. I'm going against college guys every other day. I'm seeing college arms every other day. And when it comes to high school, I just fall back on.
When was the moment that you decided that you wanted to pursue college baseball? When did that really become the dream for you personally?
When I was little, my dad loved baseball, and he's my hero, so I love baseball. And I just followed that sport, and it's just what I was. I got better and better at baseball every year. I put my time into it. It's just the sport that I love the feeling of playing it.
What is it that you love most about the game? Obviously, some people like the atmosphere. Some people like the way the game's played. What is it about you personally that you love within baseball?
I love the atmosphere. I love the feeling of hitting a baseball. Hitting is my favorite thing. The feeling of hitting a ball flush is the most perfect thing ever.
Absolutely. Everybody loves hitting home runs, right? And you certainly do that quite often. But when did the process really begin for you to start looking at colleges, starting to look around, seeing who was recruiting you? And ultimately, what was the deciding factor about Mid-Michigan, not only within the athlete portion for the baseball team, but also in the educational terms as well?
So I started looking out at colleges sophomore year, roughly. Didn't get much looked at, not much notice. Downloaded the field level app. Coach Smith texted me. And I'm still undecided on what I want to go into educationally, but I think later on in life I possibly will pursue being an electrician, since I'm already partway there. My dad's a business owner, so I'm not so much worried as what education will I get, because I think I already have a pretty firm future ahead of me. I just want to go play and play as long as I can.
Wonderful. Now, touching on the high school portion, you guys are right in the thick of the season right now. Talk about where the Coyote season has been for you guys, winning some games already, well over 500 through your first 10 games or so. How's the season been going so far?
It's going phenomenal. I'm very happy. I have a great group of guys behind me, 9 seniors. I'm close to every single guy. My day ones, I love them all. And we're winning games, which feels great because, we weren't great last year. We're about to have as many wins as we had this year last year. We dropped one to Chip Hills, but we figured it out game 2, came back strong. I'm very happy with the team. Great team.
And you mentioned it, the turnaround has been so quick and it's been so explosive, already matching nearly the win total from last year. What has really sparked the turn from you as a player? What's really going on there that sparked this turnaround so far?
Our pitchers, we lost a few guys, but overall we didn't lose much. And we gained young guys. We gained Tanner Dozier. We have Brady. We have Peyton. We have guys that pound the zone. And overall, we're hitting the ball, and we're hitting the ball well. Every game, low strikeout counts, besides the one game. We're not talking about that one. But low strikeouts every game, balls in play every game. We're mashing. It's great to see.
For sure. I know you guys have the rivalry game on deck with Big Rapids. I know that's a big one, but are there any other big games that you look at on the schedule and say, this is going to be a big one? We need all the fans' support out for this one.
I want to see what we can do at our home tournament. It's been a little bit since we've won that. I always want to win conference games. Conference games are a big one. I want to win every conference game. I want to beat Tri-County.
Oh, there you go. I know that's a personal rivalry there, so that's fun. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. Last question for you. For somebody that's sitting in your shoes, years ago, that might want to pursue this dream, and you've kind of lived through this experience of being able to play at a young age now to getting into the process of being recruited and all those things. If there was one piece of advice you would leave a youngster that wants to be in your shoes one day, what would that be and why?
Get in the weight room. You can have as much skill as you want and working on footing and throwing, but when you're in the weight room, you get stronger. You can throw the ball harder, you can hit the ball farther, you can run faster. Athleticism, you have to be athletic, you have to get bigger, stronger, faster, because the second I go to summer ball, everyone is bigger, stronger, faster, and it's you see there's levels to this, and everyone's evolved. and you just have to get to that level as fast as you can. Young guys have to get stronger and more home runs.
There you go. Everybody loves home runs, and I know you do. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Caleb for joining us here on the show. And we're glad to get some more interviews here, and we're going to continue the interviews here over the next couple of episodes. So be sure to subscribe if you're watching with us on YouTube or Facebook as well as X. Before we get into the games to preview, big thanks to RivalsMI.com. You can search local rivalry merch as well as local legends merch on there. Free shipping over $50, RivalsMI.com. And also big thanks to Dezos Digital. If your business needs help on the online digital advertising market, trust the experts at DezosDigital.com. Let's take a look at baseball first. Let's look at some games coming up. Ludington and Big Rapids are playing today as we're recording this on Wednesday. You're probably hearing this on Thursday, which will also be a host of games, a lot of games happening today. Central Montcalm going to be playing at Chippewa Hills. Grant looks to keep it going against Kent City. The Eagles have certainly been on a little bit of a hot streak. We'll see how that one pans out. Reed City hosts Lakeview in non-conference action. I should say cross-conference action and interdivision play. Tri-County will host Morley Stanwood there from Howard City. Newaygo will host White Cloud, a little Newaygo County rivalry there. And then we look ahead to Friday the 24th. Hart will be hosting Grant in non-conference play. Hesperia will be playing White Cloud. And then later on next week, Shelby will be hosting White Cloud in a pair on the 27th. Then on the 28th, White Cloud hosting Lakeview. Big Rapids hosting Tri-County. Morley Stanwood going to be hosting Central Montcalm. Chippewa Hills hosting Grant. And then Reed City hosting Newaygo in conference play. Jack, any games that catch your eye?
I mean, I think some of these early ones, and I know it's happening today as we're recording this, but this is a big game for Ludington and Big Rapids. Two teams last year that were in the same district. This Big Rapids team has to start getting going and really find themselves because they're kind of, not where I think they should be, and they know that they should be better than what their record is because we know how good they were last year. Again, their record didn't show it last year, but they were a top squad having a losing record, but playing all of those Division I teams in such a tough schedule. This is a game where Big Rapids can get right, but this can also be a sneaky game for Ludington.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big stretch for Big Rapids upcoming. You said many of those games, and even going into Tri-County next week are going to be some big games after the Newaygo wins. I'm looking at White Cloud as well. I mean, you look at Hesperia, Shelby, and Lakeview. Those are all games that on paper will be competitive games, right, for the Indians. So will they be able to have that offensive explosion, ride the momentum throughout those games? Because they're going to be playing a lot of games in consecutive days as well. And another game as well, Kent City Grant should be a great game as well. I mean, we've saw good play from the Anderson brothers, Vander West for Kent City. And we talked to Coach Cheesebro. He's excited with the schedule that they have, and especially with their athleticism and depth, that could be a great matchup as well.
Yeah, it most definitely could. Another one to highlight too, even going further down on 428, Newaygo, Reed City. Those are two teams that Reed City's had a very sneaky start. They've kind of put together some wins, a winning record. Looking at the schedule last year and the record last year, this wasn't a team that really popped out with any numbers. But this year, in the early goings, taking what you did against Chip Hills, and now you got a team in Newaygo where you can do really the same thing, a very similar team. This could be a Coyote team that we could be talking about next week with some really high expectations the second half.
Yeah, and you have Coach Long and Coach Granis who have done it in plenty of years with their team, so it's going to be fun to watch the strategy in that play. Let's flip on over to softball, some games to preview. We'll start on April 22nd. These games being played as we're recording today, so we might have some scores to report for next week. Central Montcalm going to Ithaca for a doubleheader. The 23rd, this being on Thursday, Big Rapids host Mount Pleasant in non-conference action. Chippewa Hills will square off against Central Montcalm. We'll see who prevails there. Grant against Kent City on the 23rd, as well as Reed City will be hosting Lakeview. Tri-County and Morley Stanwood will be playing in Howard City, and then Newaygo will be hosting White Cloud, as mentioned earlier. On Friday the 24th, White Cloud will be going to Hesperia in softball action, as well as Cadillac will be going to Big Rapids. Should be a very interesting game there. Hart will also be hosting Grant in softball play on Friday. Looking ahead to next week, Kent City with a very anticipated matchup there with Covenant Christian, for those that follow the basketball season. Reed City will be hosting Mason County Central over from down in US 110 or US 10, I should say. Then you have White Cloud going to be hosting Shelby as well, and then Lakeview will be playing in White Cloud on the 28th, followed by Tri-County going to Big Rapids, Central Montcalm going to Morley Stanwood, Newaygo going to Reed City, and Grant going to Chippewa Hills for a doubleheader. And I think a big one here, and Jack, you even have it highlighted unintentionally for a game change, but this might be the game. Central Montcalm, Morley Stanwood. You love offense, you'll love this game.
Yeah, most definitely. Morley Stanwood 8-0 right now. They have had a target on their backs all season long, and they will continue to do so because of how good of a team they were last year. This is a team that returned a lot of talent, and they have a ton of talent on this team this year. But Central Montcalm's not a team that's willing to go away quiet. They've hung around with some teams. They played some really sneaky games. This is really one of the early best games that we've had so far, maybe outside of Kent City Morley Stanwood last week, but this is going to be a premier game.
Yeah, you look at the senior, led portion of the Hornets squad, then you look at the talent, with the Mohawks, Kozak as well as Osaski and Bongard, a lot of great players on that team. It's going to be very fun to see which side prevails. And then I think you even look at some of these other games as well. Big Rapids, Tri-County, both teams that are really kind of looking to get their season really on a good start going into conference play. And I think one to note as well, I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup here early on in the week. You have Lakeview against Reed City as well. Reed City has played in some good games so far. Let's see if they can prevail and make it into 2, while Lakeview's really trying to get some momentum early.
Yeah, we talked about it with Lakeview on their schedule last week. They had a couple games where it's like against Montebello, and those were 2 absolute thrillers, a 4-3 game and then a 19-18 game. They really played both sides. And this Lakeview team there's not a whole lot of expectations around them, which we both know sometimes those are the sneakiest teams. And this Reed City team, also a team that didn't have many expectations. These are 2 teams where we could talk about in the middle of May, maybe potentially battling to win a district.
Maybe. 1-0 or 25-24. We'll take either of them, right? It's going to be fun to follow this season as we continue on. We appreciate your view. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and follow if you don't want to miss out on another episode of The Rundown. Jack, any last thoughts?
This is going to be an exciting week. We're starting to get into the middle of the season, just about to end the first half. These teams are ready to get going for the second half, but this is a big week for some teams.
Big week indeed. And if you're a fan of ovals and running, be on the lookout potentially for the scheduled show next week.